Everybody for being here. We're so excited that there's so much interest in financial coaching. Whether you're here because you're curious about financial coaching and just want to learn more about what the heck is this financial coaching thing, we've getting a lot of questions about that. You are a beginner that's looking at maybe becoming a coach, or if you're an experienced coach, maybe you're looking to pick up a few tips to help you grow your business. Either way, we're just excited to share up here. I want to introduce the panel just really briefly. You have some information on your sheet, but there's some things that you maybe don't know about that I'd like to add to it. Scott Mader here. He's been several years honing his skills through part-time coaching. He's set a path to become a full-time coach, leave his day job, and in the last year his business has exploded. So what you're going to find in the panel here is we're totally different in who we serve, how we serve them, how we've built our businesses, things like that. This is not about being in a mold. So if it was me and I was kind of starting off, Scott's done some awesome stuff. I'd pick his brain on those types of things because his business is really starting to grow, and getting leads and that type of thing is a really tough thing to do. So, Dorothea Kelly. All right. Dorothea is quickly gaining extensive exposure. You guys even seen her. She was an MC for one of the events here. Christine Odell. I would call Christine kind of the ultimate juggler. Christine owns, is it 4 businesses?
Yep. 4
debt-free, very profitable businesses. Juggling things all over the place. I don't know how she does it. She has a capacity, an amazing capacity. I've seen her perform 12 sessions a day for a week. Session after session after session. And I don't know if you fell down after, but that is a lot. So if I'm looking for somebody that has that business knowledge and knows how to build a business and do it debt-free and all that type of thing, plus be able to prioritize and focus, that's Christine. Me, Dave, I have a private client business that I've been slowly ramping down as I do some other things and expand my business. I also own a coaching mastermind group, which is really kind of like this. We bring everybody together and say, hey, how can we do better? That's what I do, and I help other coaches. I mentor them, teach them, train them, things like that. So we are going to move on to some questions. We're going to start with getting to know our panelists a little bit better, because as we fire through these questions, it seems tactical. I want you to know their hearts, too, and why they are coaches. So for me, why I like to coach is to see that transformation in the single mom. I don't know how they do it. My wife and I, we struggle to get the kids to the sports and all that stuff, and they're check to check and the strain and things like that. So to see that single mom get hope again, get control, and to see that transfer to the other pieces of her life, so her health improves, her spirituality, she has time for friends and to just grow is just amazing. Married couples that were once fighting, now on the same page and passionate about winning, just to see that transformation. That's why I do coaching. Scott?
Much the same. I mean, for me, and you said it earlier, the reason I got into coaching is just for that one-on-one transformation. Just take a moment with somebody and see a marriage saved, to see somebody turn around a situation that they've been dealing with for years and years and years, and all of a sudden they feel like they've got control for the first time. Myself, my personal journey, I actually almost took my life because of financial strain and financial stress. So I also deal a lot with men in crisis who are feeling suicidal because of the financial stress that they're dealing with. My wife and I do a faith-based coaching, and so we actually coach into the faith-based community a lot. And the number of men that come to us with that kind of suicidal thought and being able to turn that around and give them a way out without taking their own life is probably the single most important part of what I see.
Awesome. Dorothea?
So I started coaching because I wanted people to live a lifestyle of freedom. I have been financial coaching for over 10 years now. And like Dave said, I have been blessed to have been featured by national media within those 10 years. Mm-hmm. But I was able to change lives. And I never looked at it that way until someone said it to me. And I was able to help them get on the path of financial freedom, no matter what it was they were dealing with. My corporate background is finance. So, but how many of you know they don't really teach you how to do personal finance in college?
Nope.
You're handling somebody else's finances, right? So I had to learn how to handle my finances in order to be able to help people. And when I was able to do that, it was amazing to hear the stories and the testimonials of how many people had turned their finances around to the point where they were free, you know. So that's why I'm a financial coach.
Awesome. Christine.
So I didn't realize that having $500,000 in debt was a bad thing in 2001. I was really out there on personal finance, had a banking background. I woke up one day and said, oh my gosh, we are a train wreck waiting to happen. And if we are, how many other people are? So we just started hammering all the financial things that had been plugged into us. We paid off $500,000 in 7.5 years. And every once in a while I have to go back and say, did we really do that? Yeah, we did. And then if we can do it, because we're just average people, how can we teach other people to live like we live? And so we just made that our focus. Mm-hmm. We walk around town. I actually pasted on the side of my car, financial wellness, live debt-free. If you've ever seen a picture of my car, which I can show you, it's plastered all over it, what we live. And it really, it's so empowering to talk to the single dad, by the way. Anybody been around a single dad with 4 kids, wondering how to be a single mom? Because single dads don't do it the same way. But, you know, the ADD that Dave paints for me, the 12 clients in a day, is so empowering because I can work with the receptionist, the single dad, the CEO of the company, and everything in between. I don't have to ask him for money because the company pays for me. It's so energizing to be able to change that, be in there and have that impact on people's lives. So that's why I do it.
Okay, thank you. We are going to do this panel. I have all these questions here that have been submitted. And where I'm going to start, since there's a lot of people that are interested in getting into coaching or growing the coaching business, one of the biggest struggles, and I don't know if you've seen it as you go out, is you try to tell people what a financial coach is or what you do, and their eyes gloss over, and they don't get it. It's clear they do not connect the dots. So I'd like to go to each of you, because this is a very valuable piece for new individuals. How do you tell people what you do? What is a financial coach? So why don't we start? We'll go backwards this time. Christine, you'll go first. When somebody says, what do you do? What is a financial coach? How do you do it? And I'm going to interject. Everybody's different. Do not take their mold. Take the nuggets of information you hear from them and adapt it to you, because you are unique and you're individual, and that's the key. But Christine will give her spiel.
So big thing we hear is, what's a financial coach? Glaze over, right? So I changed mine. I'm a dream coach, because part of the financial coach is those dreams that we want to get: debt freedom, buy a house, retire, kids to college. Those are all dreams. So I changed my branding from financial coach to dream coach. First time I tried it out, I was on an airplane to Ohio. The lady sat next to me. She's like, what do you do for a living? I was like, I'm a dream coach. She's like, oh, what's that? And I said, well, I used to be a financial coach. And she's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, done. I've changed.
Awesome.
I make the distinction, because you have to be very careful, because people don't know the difference between a financial advisor and a financial coach. Mm-hmm. So I make it clear that I'm a financial coach who advises people on how to take their finances to the next level, but that I do not sell products, investment products, or insurance. So especially in interviews, if you're being interviewed, or if people are referring clients to you, they may say, hey, I want you to, transfer this investment or that investment. You have to make sure that they are clear that you do not sell product.
And for me, my business, and because I work into the faith-based community, we actually call ourselves stewardship coaches, which outside of that community doesn't necessarily have meaning, but inside of that community does. And then I actually go a little further, and I say, basically, we work with people in becoming better stewards of their finances, of their time, and then we develop leaders within the Christian community, because we actually do all 3 of those through our coaching business. And so that's usually how I approach it.
Perfect. And a neat side story. once you transformed your business to
Yeah.
giving that message that you are a stewardship financial coach, what type of clients did you end up picking up?
That was what was interesting is before I used to call it focused intensity coaching, and so it was very generic, just kind of. In fact, people would go, "What do you coach?" Because it doesn't really identify itself in any way. And I was still trying to coach into the Christian community, and about 60% of my clientele, 70% of my clientele was Christian, and the other 20 to 30, 40% was not. After I started billing myself as a Christian stewardship coach, and that's actually the name of our blog and everything, what turned around is now all of a sudden 60% of my clientele is non-faith-based clientele. And when I asked and surveyed and said why, and I see the look on some faces like, wait, what? They basically said, okay, that's not my worldview, but now I know what worldview you have.
Right.
And so I think one of the important takeaways from that is get very clear on who you are and who you want to serve and represent who you are in your messaging. And people, it's okay if they're not fully in alignment with that worldview. They're already drawn to you because you're clear in who you are, if that makes sense.
That's perfect. Okay, any questions that you'd want us to expand on in that area, or are you clear with what they shared there? Go ahead.
If someone were to say, what specifically does a dream coach do, how would you answer that?
So the question was, if somebody asked, what specifically does a dream coach do, how would you answer that?
Usually I start with, what's your dream? So why don't you tell me your dream?
To be a millionaire.
If your dream is to be a millionaire, then we're going to put together the financial steps to get you there by meeting with you on a regular basis and help you hit those goals step by step, because we're not just going to be a millionaire, right? Unless we go to, even America's Got Talent, you have to go through a whole bunch of steps. So that's what a dream coach is going to take you through, those steps of achieving that dream. I might not be with you all the way to achieving that dream, but we're going to put you in that place to achieve that.
I want to point out something very important. So the coaches up here are successful. Did you see how Christine, just in a little piece there, tied in a story they could relate to? The more stories you can tell, the more they're going to connect the dots and get it. Mm-hmm. Even with the little joke about the TV show, tie those things in.
How would you differentiate between coaching and like financial counseling, or is there a difference between financial coaching and financial counseling?
So Dylan asked a question: how do you differentiate between financial coaching and financial counseling? Okay.
A lot of times, those two are one and the same for the most part. It's just different names for it. Financial counseling, financial coaching. It has evolved. In the beginning, when I started, you couldn't really find many financial coaches, let alone a financial counselor. So now, as the industry has evolved over the last 10, 15 years, both are used interchangeably. A lot of the nonprofits are using the financial counseling, and some of us for-profit coaches as well.
And a slightly different answer. Same general idea, but slightly different tweak on it. I tell people that counselors are usually focused on looking backwards first and then go forward. As a coach, I really don't care how you got here. My job is to help you figure out where you're going. Okay, so I tell people coaching is looking forward, and yeah, we want to talk about what happened before, but just as history and background, it really doesn't matter. In terms of getting out of debt, it doesn't matter how you got into debt. It just matters that you're in debt. Where counseling a lot of times wants to tear into all of how you got here. Now, the truth is, they're the same thing, because as a coach, you're still going to tear into how they got there at some point. That's how you deconstruct the behavior. Mm-hmm. So it's really just a matter of different labels.
A lot of times it's just how you say it to people, too. Yeah. Counselor can sometimes have a negative connotation. Coach is like any professional athlete in the world has a coach. Mm-hmm. So we want you to be that professional money person. Mm-hmm. That's just how we phrase it.
But I also think it depends on what market you're in as to which word works better to identify what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a question over there.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So what I found when I actually figured out what I wanted to do, is there like any certain certification that's needed? Because when I was kind of online looking, I found a few websites and I was like, this looks kind of skeptical. So is there any like one main thing that I should have as a certification? Because I have been asked the question like, what qualifies you as a financial
Okay, so there's the core question. What qualifies you as a financial coach? Do you need a certification? What have you? Did I get that out right? Okay.
So I know, like, you guys are certified financial coaches.
I'm not certified.
I'm not certified.
You know what? I'm sorry. We did have these kind of conversations. I don't know why I thought that, but anyway,
I'm certified.
We're just that
I'm
good.
certifiable, right? So here's the thing with the certifications. I believe that they do add a level of credibility.
Thank you.
None of us are certified, apparently. But you have to remember, we've all been at this a very long time. You know, back then, you couldn't fill a room with financial experts that weren't financial advisors. So I believe that they hold a certain level of credibility. I know a lot of my friends there are a lot of trainings. AFCPE does a training that is very popular now. Certified Financial Educators, that's a good one. I have some friends who are, have those accreditations. I think that you have to have some level of credibility when you're going in front of people, before people. Especially depending on where you want to take your business, if you want to go media. So I have an MBA in finance. I started financial coaching 10, 12 years ago. I've been at this a while. I think that for people starting today, they may want to look into some sort of certification, possibly, unless you find another way to build your credibility. Now, number one, no client is going to ask you if you're certified. I have never had a client say, hey, how about that, certification? It will be possibly when you get into some other avenues, some other contracts, and that's only a maybe. Like I said, nobody has ever asked me. I imagine nobody has ever asked these guys. Because, number one, when you coach people, when you have testimonials of lives you've changed, if media is your thing, when you've been on certain television shows or in the newspaper, and people can attest to the value you bring, nobody really cares. If I'm deep in debt, or maybe I hit the lottery and I need help with my money, I'm not asking about certification. Again, there are certain contracts with nonprofits and different things. I think Sage Money, I think I saw her coming here. She trains trainers. You get a certification through her program and some other programs. That's when you start thinking about getting some certification as well. So
I'm going to jump in on this one. The certification is, in most states, not even legal, because you have to be nationally certified to do the certification. Dave Ramsey tried that, doing certification in Tennessee, came back and said, you can't certify people.
I remember
and
that.
So you can say, I trained with Dave Ramsey, or I trained with, we've got Coach Connections, or I trained with this organization. But what I find is the most compelling is your story.
Yep.
So you've got a story. Learn your story. Understand how you got out of your story. I mean, I used to hide behind the $500,000, don't tell anybody, because it was scary to me, until I had a client that said, well, if I was perfect like you, it would be different. So that changed how I thought about things. And so if you can say, this is where I was and this is how I did it, then that's going to give you more credibility than some vague certification. But the other thing is, I would say read a lot. Get with other people that can help you. Get with groups of... I'm known for being the me, myself, and I. Don't be me, myself, and I in coaching. Have friends in the business.
Yes, I'm glad you spoke to reading and research, because listen, you have to establish yourself as the expert. I studied. I think I put it in the thing. I studied and got my own finances together. I studied for 3 years. I loved Dave Ramsey. Found him by accident on a website. I did not pay for the $3,000 coaching thing. I couldn't afford that, not even close. And I studied and listened to that for 3 years, plus like Gail Perry Mason, Glenda Bridgeforth Hodges. When I was looking I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be a financial coach. I looked up everybody. That's how I know there was nobody. It was Dave. It was Glenda. I don't think there was anybody else at that time. You have to research and read and do these things. You do need to know your stuff when you say you want to be a financial coach, because number one, you've got people's lives in your hands. You know what I mean? It's not just about making money. It's about how you're the people that you're reaching.
Scott, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, just real quick. I think certification, a lot of times people look at it as the magic bullet. If I just had a certification, my business would take off. Okay, no, that's bull.
Yep.
Your business will grow with or without it based on what you do to make the business grow. The certification, it's wonderful if you can get it and you have one. It doesn't hurt anything. It does help, but it's really not about the certification. It's about the training and knowledge you get. And if you get that training and knowledge and you get a certification along with it, wonderful. If you get that training and knowledge and it doesn't come with the certification, probably just as wonderful.
Yeah.
And so, I would echo, and I think everybody agrees, finding a circle of influence, finding other people who you can hook up with and pick their brain and interact with and mentor with, finding other sources of getting knowledge, whether that's books for you, whether that's videos, whether that's going through some sort of training program, but find what plugs you into that growth and then use that to grow your business. I also would echo, and I know this from working with both of these ladies for a few months getting ready for this, we all have a personal story. We all have something that we share. It's a reason behind what we're doing. If I get in front of a group of people and I talk about nearly driving off of a cliff because I was in debt, I've found out, because I've had the opportunity to do that in front of an audience, and found out later that there are men that turn to their wives and say, I felt like that. And they had never said that before out loud to their wives.
Yeah.
Okay, I just changed a life, and I didn't have a certification to do it.
Exactly.
It's not the certification. That's not the magic.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you can get one that has good training with it, go for it.
So I would add a little bit to that. The industry's changing.
Big time.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, people didn't really know what a financial coach is. People are figuring it out, and the mindset used to be, if people didn't say they had a financial coach because that meant they were having issues. Yeah. Now, dude, you don't have a coach? That is the mindset that's changing. So with that, I am seeing a lot of people out there that had a personal transformation. That's usually how it starts. This has changed my life, the way I've worked with money now, and it's impacted my relationship and the kids. I can go to my kids' sporting events. Man, you guys need to do this. And because they've had that personal transformation and personal success, that individual, and I kind of see this happening more and more, now thinks that they're an expert because they were good at what they did. That does not make you an expert to be able to go out and teach others.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's right.
So as this industry grows and transforms and kind of comes together and figures that stuff out, even though we don't have certifications, I think one day there's going to be something that's going to have to make sense for that. I don't know of anything awesome yet. Sorry. So it's an ongoing process, but that's what I would say. So just be careful, because I've even overheard some people in the room here say, hey, I had this transformation, I have a blog, and people say, what do you do? I'm a coach. I'm like, what? So be careful with that. Go out and serve some people. Anytime somebody can get intentional with anything, even a little bit, a little tip they get from your blog or what have you, they're going to start winning. But that doesn't mean that they're going to win as well as if they were connected with a coach that has a ton of experience and knowledge. Okay? Another question. Go ahead.
Do you guys have a coaching process that you go through? If so, how did you develop that? How did you refine it over the years? And would you care to share some of your process for working with a client?
Absolutely. So the question is, do we have a process, a system, and a flow to how we work with clients? Yes. Okay, thank you. Christine, do you have a process?
Yeah, most of my clients, the first time I see them, I have no idea who they are when they walk in the door. I know their name and their phone number in case they're late. But I have no personal information whatsoever when they first walk in the door. So my process, I'm happy to share. Let me know if you want to talk afterwards. What I do is I bring them in. I say, what brought you to me and how can I help you? Then we sit down. Usually it comes out with the dream, what the dream is. And I say, okay, I'm going to do about a 15, 20-minute interview of you, of where you are, what your family life is, just some basics about your money. And then before you walk out the door today, usually I have them for an hour. Before you walk out the door today, I'm going to give you some homework assignments, some tools that will save you money immediately. My goal is when they walk in the door, the first thing is I'm going to save them $100 a month for the rest of their life. That's my goal. So sometimes I tell them that, sometimes not. I sit them down. We go through the process. We start conversation. I get to know them as people, tell them things, little snippets as we're going. Then I give them a homework assignment, and I invite them back again. And that's typically that's a corporate environment typically that I'm in. I have no idea who they are, but it's a great starting point because there's nothing, I don't know if they're in debt or not. They're coming in the door for something, and so it's my job to help them get to that something, and I want to send them out the door with some skills right away. So that's typically the most common process I use.
Okay. So that was more of like an initial consult or first meeting. So that was a good example of that. Do you guys have a different example of maybe a longer-term coaching process? Or
So my clients generally come to me a number of ways, from referrals from other coaches or financial experts who don't want to do one-on-one coaching, from my website, or if I have, generally when you speak, you'll get clients. So it's a beginning to end, and I'll try to make this succinct because it's a good question, because everybody who wants to do financial coaching should have a system. It should be on paper, and you should follow it. So once they come in, I send them an intake form. They complete that. You heard of the 15-minute, 30-minute consultations. When I first started, I used to do 30 minutes, and I'm down to 15 because you got to kind of keep that packaged. And then I learn what their goals are from the intake form. We set up a meeting. So the first meeting is like 2 hours because we really need to hit your points. After that, on a longer term, to your question, process, I may meet with them once a month. I might meet with them twice a month, depending on what they sign up for. And you have to make sure that you control that. Initially, I said, okay, whenever you want to meet next month is fine, but you should have set dates in your calendar of when you meet with your clients just to keep yourself straight and to make sure that they know you're polished. I believe in being polished at all times. So they need to take you seriously. They need to take this process seriously, so you need to make sure you have it all set up. So depending on what they choose, that's how a longer term, because some clients may say, you know what, all I need is 1 hour with you, and then I think I can take it from there. And sometimes they're right, a lot of times they're wrong. But I give them what they need, right? So that's a snippet of the process.
perfect. Scott, any changes? Anything different?
Well, first off, everything that was already said, I do as well in some version or another. And to echo, referrals is a big source of business, and finding who you can partner with that you can get referrals is important. Finding someone else who touches on people's financial life but maybe isn't interested in doing the one-on-one coaching. It could be a financial advisor type person. It could be pastors. It could be, there's a lot of different sources, but finding those, there's one piece of the coaching business that I do that I'm experimenting with, honestly, which is chat-based coaching. Mm-hmm. So there's an app out there called Coach.me, and Tony Stubbledine is who designed it. It was originally a goal tracking app. Now they've added coaching to it, and I'm one of their certified coaches on there, and I get client referrals through that. And it's 100% It's designed to be 100% chat-based, though a lot of times with my clients, they upsell to phone calls, which I get a bigger cut of, so I like that. So chat-based, it's literally daily check-ins with them. But those daily check-ins, I actually have about 60 or 70 clients on there, and I spend about an hour a day, little less most days, checking in. And then about once a week, I go a little bit more in-depth and have longer conversations with them. So it's a little bit more designed to be a daily accountability tool. So it's sometimes just a quick check-in, hey, how are you doing with your spending today? Any problems? Where are you have quick redirect? And it's the clients like it because it's right there on their phone and it's quick and immediate. So I've had a lot of success with it. It really, for me, just started as kind of an experiment because I've been doing the other kind of coaching and it works great too. So I don't think it's either or.
And I think that's good because everybody's going to the phones.
Yeah.
Even me, I can't even fight it. I love it. So I think that's good.
Wow.
Whoa, that was fun.
All right. Let's go to the back of the room.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so the question is, how can we bring clarity to the industry to help people understand the differentiation between a financial coach, a financial advisor, and all the other iterations out there? All right, cool. And what was your name? Hey, thanks, Frank.
I think, Frank, I think you're absolutely right. And I'm going to tell you one other piece that's even going to confuse our folks even more. So you're a CFP. You know, back in the day, to become a CFP, you had to work as a financial planner under an accredited firm. Now, I learned this. I'm the only one who did not know this. Apparently, everybody knew this but me. But you can become a CFP. So like for me, I've been coaching 10 years. I've been writing. Journalists are becoming CFPs now. And people, so you could get confused that, oh, okay, you're a journalist and you're a CFP, you're a financial coach and you're a CFP. So I believe that it's going to have to come with the clarification. Like I said earlier, how I make a distinction, because now, like for me, I could become a financial coach with the CFP designation. I would have to be very, very clear then that I don't sell products. I think that that's going to come with education. It's going to come with, making sure that when you're writing, when you're talking to people, they know exactly what a financial coach does. I did a post about that, financial coach versus financial advisor. Made some financial advisors mad, even though I wasn't bashing them. But it's that sometimes it seems like there's that clash when it should not be. We should be aligned because financial coaches prepare people for financial advisors. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be about education.
So I want to...
I can't hear you.
Do you write a financial plan?
Do we write
Yes.
financial plans?
I do. I have what I call creating your financial life plan. But it's about a holistic life plan. It's not about an investing plan. Remember, that's going to be different. So it's about educating your clients on what you're providing and being very clear so that you're not confusing them.
So before, hang on just a second. Some of financial CFPs and financial advisors are actually doing coaching.
That's true.
And
Yep.
so the other thing is you want to differentiate. Dave, Scott, Dorothea, and I don't sell products, but it doesn't mean we can't sell products. Right. It's that we have chosen as coaches not to sell products. And so if you're going from CFP to financial coach, or you are a CFP and you want to be a financial coach, do us all a favor and explain to them what you have and what you're doing so the people that are coming to you are not confused. Because some people just want very clear, we just want information based on experience, what you know, but we don't want to be sold anything. So just be careful on that, is what I would say.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead. I can't see name tags, so sorry that.
I'm Sandra Daly, so full disclosure, I am the sage money that Dorothea is talking about. So I think we do have to kind of clear up that being a financial coach doesn't mean you do or do not sell products. That's
Right.
licensing. That's what you become an RIA.
Mm-hmm.
You become licensed to sell insurance investment. That is not the same as being a coach. You can be a coach, become licensed, and do those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There is no definition of what coaching is. Same thing with financial planning. Financial planning has been around for 40 years. It grew out of the insurance field. Now we've got the CFPs. We've even got NAFTA that's fee-only planning. So this is a very challenging time, and we owe it to consumers to be fair and above board and honest about what we do and what we don't do. Financial coaching is actually a thing. It is different than financial counseling. Financial counseling can be housing counseling, it can be budget counseling, credit counseling, and there are certified counselors. You have to be certified to be a HUD housing counselor. So we really do have to understand the language that we're talking about. And one of the reasons we're creating these certifications, I've been doing this since 2004 when I did the master's in financial planning, and I actually trained CFPs. We're on that track. But the challenge becomes we're all kind of trying to find our space. The wonderful thing about this profession, you guys, is you get to do it however you want to do it. And I chose to be a coach. I train coaches because I do believe you have to be a financial expert to be an effective coach. Everything affects everything in our financial lives. And if you only want to focus on budgets, great. Your experience about budgeting is fine. But if you want to look at someone's comprehensive financial life cycle, it is important to know your stuff. And Dorothea, I commend you for saying that over and over again. You always say that.
Okay, thanks, Sandra.
So,
So, in the back there on the left, sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So, sorry, I have two quick questions. One, do you do anything to protect yourself from a legal standpoint, normal estate management for your client? And two, any other coaching tools or platforms that you have?
Okay, so there's
So-
two questions. One is, do you do anything to protect yourself legally, those types of things? And the other one was, is there a coaching platform?
Yeah, just any
Tools.
Tools, software. Okay. Okay, thank you. Why
So-
don't we start with Scott? Scott, you've been kind of quiet here for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give financial advice. I don't give investment advice, and I'm pretty careful to not stray into the territories that would be considered that. So in that respect, through what I'm coaching in, that is some legal protection. I've also got things set up as a separate entity, so it's not my personal assets that are tied up. But I don't have currently I don't have a formal contract that I'm using. Okay. It's something that I've been looking into because, as we were talking about a minute ago, the environment that we're getting into now is getting a lot more pieces around financial coaching. I have a feeling within the next 3 to 5 years, we'll be under an umbrella where that will become even more necessary. So it's not something that I would say don't do. I haven't. I'm really only about 1.5 years into the coaching business, so I'm kind of the newbie in the panel, if that makes sense. And so that's still one of those areas I'm looking at. As far as tools, again, I referenced earlier that I use the Coach.me app. Other than that, I mean, it's Word documents, email, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Excel. It's really basic tools. It really comes down to, more often than not, interacting and dealing with the client on a one-on-one situation and adapting the tools that you have to fit their situation. So like I said, one of the reasons I moved to chat-based is because they can do it on their phone, making life easier on them. If I use Excel, and you're on a Mac, okay, that's a problem. So I have to have a way to work around that. So it's, again, the tools to me are to some extent irrelevant. The process is what's more important. And then you can adapt a lot of different tools to that process, if that makes sense.
Cool. You guys finding this valuable? Raise your hands if you think so. Okay. On this piece of paper, because we're going to continue this discussion because there's like a ton of questions, right? We will continue to answer these questions and dive in deeper, and we'll give the time it's needed. There's a number you can text that says webinar, and I'll send you a link to that webinar where we can keep this conversation going. But I'm going to pause for, you guys are quick typers, 10 seconds to let you go ahead and do that now. Text. Yeah, I didn't.
That'll just sign you up to the webinar.
Yeah, it'll sign you up to the webinar, yep. You text that, and then I will send you a link to sign up to the webinar.
No, no. No, we're doing this as a group. Yep.
Yep.
it's just a continuation
because
of
we
this
only have-
because there's
yeah.
so many
We know
questions.
we're looking at the clock, and there's still a lot of hands that keep going up.
Yeah.
So it's just another chance to ask
Yeah.
questions, basically.
Not yet, no.
No?
But maybe Christine could answer. I wanted to jump in on the tools too. So before,
Well, I want to just answer on the on the insurances and stuff. If, as a coach, we are very, very clear on what we can and can't do, then it pretty much eliminates a lot of your liability. There is an insurance that you can get called errors and omissions insurance. It's not very expensive. A lot of people recommend it, especially if you're somebody who's very good at crossing that line. Because FINRA rules, SEC rules say what you can and cannot say if you're not licensed. So if you're somebody and you're sitting down and you're telling them about your personal portfolio and you kind of let it slip that you own a mutual fund, you're in trouble. So you don't want to do that. So you want to be very, very careful on that. You might recommend mutual funds as an investment, and then right after that, you recommend a financial advisor. So protect yourself in how you speak with your clients. It's really important. I get a lot of that at the corporate level. They come in, they're like, oh, you're the financial advisor. No, I'm the financial coach. The financial advisor will be here next week. Let me help you set up an appointment. And I stop right there. Then they say, well, I don't understand what a mutual fund is, and I want to go into the meeting understanding what that is. Great. Sit down. Let's have a mutual fund lesson. So you can teach about how something works, but you cannot advise on products to buy in that phase. So if you're one of those that doesn't have a real good filter, then I would get error and emissions insurance, and then I would probably also set yourself up as an LLC just to completely separate it.
And if you have a person that keeps dogging you on it and they want an answer because they trust you, what I say is my job is to help you build a strong wealth team. I won't be there forever, and you need to have these people surrounding you. What is it about an advisor that makes you afraid to go out and speak to them? So now I'm helping and equipping them to go out and seek out people that will help them the way they should. I say, I will not answer that question. It's not because I don't have the answer. It's because you need to get stronger by developing that wealth team. So that's a great way to kind of shed that. Plus, that may not be the fire issue you need to work on. They're like, well, I want to invest. I want to invest.
Isn't.
Yeah, maybe after you kill the $400,000 in debt, right? Or
Right.
whatever. So it's a way to shield, move on, and go from there. We had another question.
You know,
over
I
here.
just wanted to answer his question about tools real quick. So the tools aren't necessarily for financial coaching, but for running your business, because you have to put those one and the same. Now, for the financial coaching piece, there are calendar softwares and apps that you can use to schedule. So people can call me. They go to my Calendly. My assistant sends out my Calendly link. My prices are in there for depending on which one they chose. They set an appointment with me, and from there we schedule. There's another. Anybody heard of 17 Hats? 17 Hats is wonderful. You can set up, because remember how I talked about systems before? You can set up automatic workflows in 17 Hats. So you call me. What's your name? Hey, Jason, I'm Dorothea. When you call me and you say, hey, I want to work with you, I program from beginning to end my interaction with you in 17 Hats. Yes, yes.
That's a business tool.
Absolutely. That's things like that.
I use Schedule Once for scheduling, and it saves my world, because then they can make an appointment, and if they have to cancel it, they don't have to call me. They can just do it. And my schedule's online all the time.
Okay, we're going to go with one more question. You've been very patient.
But the struggle I'm having is companies will say, we already work with a financial advisor who does it for free. I mean, they get paid on the back end when they sell products, but how do you differentiate yourself to say, like, I still provide value and you can have both of us?
My companies do have both of us. They have the free, and they do have that. What I am is I'm the educational piece. So their teammates aren't just getting investing advice. So the CFPs are investing advice. They're coming to me. Their kid needs health insurance because they're turning 26. They're coming to me because of budgeting help, because of debt help. We are, as a coach, on the educational piece. The financial advisors are the investing, the actual health insurance, the life insurance. They're that other piece. So I make sure that they understand that I'm the educational. I'm going to be behavior change and education, and then I want to send them to someone else because those other people are doing stuff I don't do. And it's also a great sales piece, by the way. Those of you who want to be coaches, get to know your financial advisors in your area, because most of them don't want to teach how to do a budget.
That's right.
Most of them want to sell products because that's how they make their money.
Partner.
So become friends with those financial advisors and say, I'm doing the educational point. And when your clients come from me, they're going to come debt-free. They're going to have a budget. They're going to know exactly how much they can invest. They're going to be educated on how things work. They're going to walk in the door, and your job's easy. So it's a great way to, really differentiate the two. So we're kind of the baby steps of before, and then you're the, take the reins and run with it. Does that help?
It is a tough one to articulate. One of the things that I've found helpful is usually the companies that I've been able to get into, there's some sort of ambassador, somebody I've coached that that now totally understands the difference. It is an individual in the company or knows somebody at the company that's a decision maker, says you need to meet with Dave and have him come in and do his workshops and things like that, because they will be the ones inside pushing for you. That's how I've gotten all my corporate deals. Yeah.
I'll just second that real quick. That's how I've gotten mine too. I've every single one of them is a referral.
The only thing else I would add is ask questions, and what I mean by that is, for instance, ask them how many of their employees participate in their 401k program or their 403b program. In most companies, it's an astronomically small percentage of their company. Then ask them, well, why do you think that is? Okay, you've got a financial advisor. He's coming in and doing all of this work for you, all these workshops for free. Why do only 2% of your employees participate in your 401k?
That's a great coaching question.
And by opening up that dialogue, a lot of times they'll come to realize, oh, maybe there's a missing piece here. What you do is provide that missing piece as an education piece. In other words, it's all well and good to talk about investing, but if I'm worried about putting braces on my kids' teeth, I'm not investing. Okay? I can help them get their budget straight so that now 40% of your employees are investing in your 401k, or 70% of your employees, or 100%. The reason why that's important is more often than not, most companies, the higher echelon, the well-paid employees, okay, get a bonus in their investment portfolio if a certain percentage of their employees participate in the 401k. Okay? That's typically in most corporate environments, that's a true thing. They want 60% of their employees in the 401k because it puts money in their pocket. Okay? Seriously. And it's set up that way on purpose because the idea is to help them get the line employees investing. That's how the Fed set it up. So if you're talking to them about, I can get 70% of the employees investing in the 401k, they're going to hire you. Does that make sense?
Okay, we're at 3 o'clock. I'm so excited to see so many in here passionate about serving others and finding out about coaching. We're here.
I don't think anybody's in this room after, so.
Yeah,
Well, we have to go to mentoring.